Okay, so this one is entitled The War Ends, World War II, It's Almost Over. I'm doing this also currently in my sociology class, and I got green catted today. So here it is. Look at the green kitty cat. Yeah, kitty, 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 kitty. All right, so anyway, enough of that. Why don't you listen to this nice little excerpt about World War II?
In 1945, Captain Luther Fletcher entered the German concentration camp at Buchenwald with a group of Germans who were being forced to see what their country had done. In his diary, Fletcher described what they witnessed. They saw blackened skeletons and skulls in the ovens of the crematorium. In the yard outside, they saw a heap of white human ashes and bones. The dead were stripped of their clothing and lay naked, many stacked like cordwood waiting to be burned at the crematory. At one time, 5,000 had been stacked on the vacant lot next to the crematory. At headquarters of the SS troops who ran the place were lampshades made from human skin. Often, the guide said, the SS wished to make an example of someone in killing him. They used what I call hay hooks, catching him under the chin and the other in the back of the neck. He hung in this manner until he died.
So, a nice gruesome story to start off your day while you're watching this, and green cats in the background. Okay, so moving on. The Third Reich collapses. Roosevelt and other Allied nation leaders promised to punish the Nazis after the war, and they would be given green cats. Roosevelt felt destroying the Nazi regime would put an end to the concentration camps. So, hedgerows were one of the things that are dirt walls, several feet thick, covered in shrubbery, were used by the Germans to defend their positions in Normandy, France. All right, so the Battle of the Hedgerows ended with American bombers blowing a hole in the German lines, allowing American tanks to go through. Allies liberated Paris on August 25th. 3 weeks later, they were just 20 miles from the German border. The Third Reich, Hitler attempted one last offensive to cut off Allied supplies coming through the port of Antwerp in Belgium. It was called the Battle of the Bulge. It began on December 16, 1944, catching the American troops off guard. As Germans raced west, their lines bulged outward, resulting in the battle's name. The United States won the battle, and on January 8th, Germans withdrew with little left to stop the Allies from entering Germany. The Ludendorff Bridge across the Rhine River was still intact, allowing American troops to cross and force the German defenders back. Hitler realized the end of the war was near, so he killed himself. All right. So, his successor, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, tried to surrender to the Americans and the British while still fighting the Soviets, but he was forced to unconditionally surrender on May 7th, 1945, to the Soviets. The next day was proclaimed VE Day for victory in Europe. Japan is defeated. How do we do that? Well, Roosevelt, he dies a month before the defeat of Germany, so he doesn't actually see the end of the war. Vice President Harry S. Truman became president. By the way, sociology class, where is Harry Truman from?
Missouri.
Thank you, Candace. All right, although Germany surrendered. Although Germany surrendered a few weeks later, Truman needed to make many difficult decisions regarding the war as the battle with Japan intensified. On November 24, 1944, American bombs fell on Tokyo, but missed their targets. American military planners decided to invade Iwo Jima because it was closer to Japan. It would make the bombings more effective. February 19, 1945, 60,000 American Marines land on Iwo Jima, and 6,800 lost their lives before the island was captured. General Curtis LeMay, commander of the B-29s based in the Marianas, changed strategy to drop bombs filled with napalm, a kind of jellied gasoline, which was commonly used in Vietnam, but we won't talk about it as much here. These bombs not only exploded, but also started fires. The risk of killing civilians made this a very controversial move. The Tokyo firebombing killed over 80,000 people and destroyed more than 250,000 buildings. Japan's 6 most important industrial cities were firebombed. Japan still refused to surrender. American military planners chose to invade Okinawa, which is 350 miles, gentlemen, from Japan to stockpile supplies and build up troops. On April 1st, 1945, American troops landed on Okinawa. On June 22nd, 1945, I have no idea what Floyd's doing behind me, Okinawa was captured with more than 12,000 American soldiers, sailors, and Marines losing their lives. Japan would not surrender unconditionally because they wanted their emperor to remain in power. Americans wanted him out of power, and Truman was reluctant to go against public opinion at this time. The American program to build an atomic bomb was codenamed Manhattan Project, headed by General Leslie Groves. And on July 16th, 1945, we detonated the first atomic bomb in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It was a practice run. Truman felt it was duty to use every weapon available to save American lives. So the Allies threatened Japan with utter destruction, but received no response. So on August 6, 1945, we dropped an atomic bomb, and thus we got green cats. One of Japan's most, of course, we dropped it on Hiroshima, one of Japan's most important industrial cities. Tens of thousands of people died instantly, and thousands more died a very horrific death due to burns and radiation sickness. On August 9th, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan. Same day, the United States dropped another atomic bomb on Nagasaki, killing about 35,000 and 74,000 people between that. Sorry. On VJ Day for victory in Japan, August 15th, 1945, Japan surrendered. The war had ended. So, building a new world. Excuse me, I don't know what you're doing with that bat behind me. But to prevent another war, President Roosevelt wanted a new international political organization. In 1944, delegates from 39 countries met to discuss a new organization that was to be called the United Nations, much like the League of Nations, except the United States was going to be in it this time. April 25th. What are you doing to that cat's head? 1945, representatives from 50 countries met in San Francisco to officially organize the UN and create its charter or its constitution. Delegates decided to have a General Assembly where each member nation would have one vote. Britain, France, China, Soviet Union, and the United States would be the permanent members of the Security Council, each having veto power. August 1945, the International Military Tribunal, the IMT, was created by the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union to punish German and Japanese leaders for their war crimes. The IMT tried German leaders suspected of committing war crimes at the Nuremberg trials. Tokyo, the IMT for the Far East tried leaders of wartime, Japan suspected of committing war crimes, and the Japanese emperor was not indicted on this. All right, that concludes this series of World War II videos, probably the freakiest one you've had so far with all of the green cats. Yay, green cats. Make sure you watch this. Do the Edmodo quiz. Common assessment test is next Friday. Get it done. See you later. Have a good weekend.